Hello, my name is Brianna Bittler and I am a political science major at Bloomsburg University. Today we will be discussing Xi Jinping's recently announced third term and what this means for Chinese citizens and the world. I chose this topic because it's important to understand China's growing international power and the goal of Xi during his reign. China has been an important aspect of international news due to its increasing power in world politics. So who is he? Well, he was born in Beijing in 1953 and was son to a revolutionary veteran. His father was arrested in 1962, 4 years prior to Xi falling victim to the Cultural Revolution. During this time, millions were branded as enemies of Chinese culture. At the age of 15, he was sent to the countryside for re-education and hard labor. In this area, he was remote and in a poor village and was isolated for 7 years. In his early political career, he maintained lower-level statuses until he eventually worked his way up. He was accepted to the Communist Party in 1974 and eventually worked up to the highest-ranked political official in the CCP. In 2018, during his second term, he engineered a constitutional reform to eliminate term limits on the presidency, allowing him to have a third term in office. What's already happening? Well, video footage captured during China's 20th Communist Party Congress showed former leader Hu Jintao being removed from his seat. A statement released by Chinese state-owned media claimed that he was removed due to health issues. However, the statement was written in English, not Chinese. After seeing this, it was discovered that no Chinese media outlet had mentioned the incident. At the opening of the CCP Congress, he repeated a goal to make China a modern socialist power by 2035. Then by 2049, he plans to ensure the nation leads the world in terms of composite national strength and international influence. However, there are concerns about how he will be able to complete his goal. Boosting economic growth while also continuing his zero COVID policy will prove to be a challenge for him. He also wants to ensure technological self-sufficiency, but wiped $1.5 trillion off the tech sector. So what does this mean for China? Well, China has been making efforts to change its greenhouse emissions with the use of renewable energy, such as wind and solar power. By the end of 2021, China had installed 1,000 gigawatts of renewable energy capacity, more than any other country. China has also become a forefront for electric vehicles. While other countries only have recently begun to switch to these more efficient vehicles, China has been seeking subsidies, long-term investments, and infrastructure spending for these vehicles for more than a decade. Continuation of these vehicles will help to reduce carbon emissions and pollution produced from gas or diesel vehicles over the years. He has set a goal in 2014 that is likely to be reached in the upcoming years. 20% of new car sales would be electric vehicles by 2025. China's technology industry has been expanding, getting close to that of the US and other countries. When it comes to their interest in the chip industry, China has spent more than $100 billion to fast-track the development of a domestic chip-making industry. This is part of a much bigger technology advancement plan called the Made in China 2025 program. With its third term, we will see an increase in the chip industry, which can lead to things like artificial intelligence, autonomous vehicles, next-gen information technology, telecommunications, advanced robots, and aerospace by 2049. With all of these positive future achievements that he can accomplish, there, however, are also negative policies that he will most likely continue or put forth in his third term. Many of these policies will continue to affect millions of Chinese citizens when it comes to human rights, privacy, and everyday life. Ever since COVID broke out in China, the Chinese officials have made it their mission to eradicate the virus by carrying out extensive lockdowns and testing wherever new cases arise. Not only has this policy affected China's economy and travel, but it has also affected the everyday lives of Chinese citizens. As of October 2022, He has announced that the policy is here to stay to ensure that COVID doesn't spread and kill more Chinese citizens. While this might mean further restriction on the people, it also has proven to work to curb COVID, with only about 0.07% of the population having had COVID so far. A recent example of censorship in China relates to the removal of Hu Jintao. The world found out about his removal and saw footage of it earlier than many Chinese citizens did. China didn't air the news of his removal in any way, leaving social media to expose his actions. The Social Credit Initiative refers to a diverse network of initiatives aimed at enhancing the amount of trust within a Chinese society. The overall goal of this initiative is a unified record for people, businesses, and the government that can be monitored in real time. China's system, however, has gone farther than those of Western systems. China's systems gathers financial, criminal, government records, and sometimes video surveillance information. This will ultimately continue in Chinese society, considering how powerful he is and the fact that this can help the government keep an eye on its people. In the end, China's government will ultimately retreat into the one-man rule. Like Mao Zedong did during his rule, Xi has took power into his own hands, with the party following closely behind. With every year he's in power, he gains more control to initiate the policies he sees fit for China. He has sidelined major figures in the governing order and claimed their power for himself. As a result, Chinese policy making has become increasingly dependent on the decisions and desires of a single individual. For the world, many things can happen. More recently, with the growing power of Xi and the Chinese Communist Party, we have seen a rise in tensions between countries like China and the US. The tensions between Taiwan and China are only an example of this. They have been in the headlines for months, making people wonder if China will invade Taiwan like Russia did with Ukraine. With its third term, these tensions are likely to continue and even increase as more countries start to oppose his actions. China has already started to lessen its ties with the US, causing concern for trade relations among the world powers. China has more recently expanded its partnership with Russia, giving a slight sign that things could take a turn for the worse, especially if Russia and China continue to support each other. This is also where technology comes in. Technological advancement is important in signifying a country's world power, and with China catching up to the US, China could easily become one of those most technological advanced countries we've seen in recent years. The creation of the chip industry would allow for China to build better military weapons and artificial intelligence, which could be a game changer in international settings. In conclusion, China will become a more important world power with the leadership of Xi Jinping. His success in industries like technology can lead to major economic, technological, and social advancement in China. I believe this will ultimately lead to a rise in tensions as powers will start to fight over such advancements, like seen with the Cold War. However, there is no evidence that this will in fact occur, only time will tell. And here are the resources used to create this presentation.